Okay. Hello, my name is Jay Azua. With me is Mr. Ken Collins. We're with the Hozho Center in Gallup, New Mexico. Uh, I'll tell you a little bit about it. We are presently in our new location. I can show you, if you will, a picture of our old location, which was down on 3rd Street on Maloney. We are now on the other side of town. We're not in as large a facility, but the Hozho Center is a peer-run Center for Personal Enhancement, and it is a strength-based program using motivational interviewing and other therapies such as cognitive behavioral therapy, but majority of it is peer counseling and coaching and mentoring for individuals, not necessarily homeless, but who have been through recovery or in the process of recovery. The majority of the individuals we deal with are Native Americans, primarily Navajo. We're surrounded by actually 4 reservations, the Zuni on the south. The Navajos take over a great majority of Arizona, and we're only 12 miles from the Arizona line. And above us in San Juan County is also Navajo, Apache, and Laguna Acamas to the east. We have a population in Gallup of about 18,000 on any given weekend, depending on what's going on in the community. It could swell upwards to 40 and 60,000 people, and that's not unusual. Needless to say, we have a significant substance abuse problem. We don't deal at Hozho Center specifically with substance abuse. We also deal with mental health, recovering individuals, and we do conduct a drop-in service or a walk-in. We take on all individuals. No one's turned away, regardless of their needs. The Hozho Center for Personal Enhancement has been conducting individual counseling, group therapies, AA, NA. We do 2 support groups a week, one on Tuesday and Thursday. We do AAs in the evening, and it's all peer run. Everyone here is a peer. I'm in recovery. Ken is he's kind of our traumatic brain injury specialist. Ken is a survivor and is kind of notorious in his own right. But we work, there's been a noticeable connection, particularly in our community for traumatic brain injury, especially with the inebriants and transients who live on the streets or who live in the outlying areas. There's a tremendous homeless problem, and Hozho has been dealing with that. We've been around since 2005. We actually started in the parking lot in Cape Gutierrez, who is from a community called Peru, that's a little bit east of Gallup. We started in her car, and then eventually there was an AA meeting going. It was a Catholic church. We moved over from the parking lot into the AA meeting, and then we moved up into a room, and then we took over the center. In 2009, Hozho got its own place on the north side. We rented a rather large place that actually used to be a bar, a saloon, if you will. Since we've been there, we've been doing the traumatic brain injury, the substance abuse and support groups. All of this, or the majority of it, was done by volunteers. We have a limited budget. We have at times before in the past acquired small grants to help us continue, but most of our sustainability is done because of our volunteers and the peers in the community that stick around. A lot of them go on and get jobs and move on to their lives, and that's okay. Few people on the streets have what we call achievable goals because of the lack of community resources in order to meet the needs of the city and the surrounding community, which is mostly rural. There are homeless organizations, but many of them were closed down last summer. And when COVID hit, we ourselves were in fact asked to move out of our larger facility, and that's why we moved over to where we're at now. Becoming a victim only compounds the factors in this community here, and that's what we try to address. We try to be as culturally sensitive and relevant as we possibly can be. We're dealing with historical and generational traumas, systemic racism, social injustice, all of the things that are are the big news these days have been going on in our community for a long time. And that's where we've been doing it. The chronic fight or flight or freeze response is part of what happens with the majority of the individuals when we encounter people, usually on the streets, who are transient. They don't consider themselves homeless. We're the squatters, if you will. They don't see us as homeless, and they don't see themselves as homeless. The reality is the majority of them simply don't want to go home. They choose not to go home for the kids, or they've already been disowned and disenfranchised from their families and can't go home anyway. Substance abuse is the primary driving epidemic, I guess you would, in our community, and now that's compounded by the COVID pandemic, which is overlaid. Our numbers have dropped. However, last year at the close of December of 2020, just for the month of December, we had served 2,252 people. We provided them with food, with bus passes, transportation. We got them clothing. Well, it was a drop-in center at the time. It was a lot larger than what we're at now. And we did take walk-ins so long as they were sober and behaved themselves. They'd come in, partake of whatever nourishment we had for them, mostly ramen soup, but coffee, popcorn. A lot of them would do, a lot of individuals do their artwork and then they would go and sell it. However, not all of them remained in recovery. Those that do, we still are in great and close contact with them. We are not open to the public as yet, and we don't know how we're going to address that. We really have to shrink our operations, if you will. But for the most part, our main goals for this time of the year, of course, is always fundraising, trying to get ahead, and there is no getting ahead. If you can break even, we're doing pretty good. So, but we have had various funding sources from the state legislature, local communities, and actual peers who remain anonymous from the community, who have businesses and families and jobs of their own, give us a lot of support. We work very closely with the homeless individuals, the court system, with DWI and NCI, which is a treatment center. So that's kind of where we're at now. We're rebuilding, restarting. I've been with the organization since 2009, and we're just starting from scratch again in a small building. I almost want to pick this up and turn it so you can see, where we're at. It's considerably smaller, probably 1/4 smaller than the building we were in before. So we're going to have to modify our how we, first of all, expend our resources, and secondly, how we handle the public. We expect and anticipate that it's going to be as bad or worse once the COVID restrictions are lifted. There are the sober hotels, or the COVID hotels, they call them, where a lot of the homeless and the street people are living now and staying there, but those closed Saturday. The community had, I believe, 3 hotels that had been leased specifically to shelter individuals. We do not do shelter. We don't have live-in facilities. We're a social program, a 501c3 nonprofit, and we fly just below the radar of an agency. So the Department of Health and the Office of Peer Recovery are our greatest supporters. And we've been known to stretch $1 at least a mile, sometimes a mile and a half. But that's what we do. And the Hozho Center has been as successful as we possibly can be, I think, in dealing with the situation in Gallup and the surrounding area. I'm going to turn it over and let Ken tell you a little bit more about it. I have actually been out of the loop for probably a year or two anyway, but I'm back home, and that's what we do, holding up and supporting individuals who are trying their best to make it in this world. And we take all comers. Nobody's turned away from the Hozho. Ken, introduce
Yeah.
yourself.
Thanks, Jay. My name is Ken Collins, and I'm outreach coordinator here, community outreach. Uh, Because that's what I really like to do. I like to get out there in the trenches and meet with people. We're meeting with people pretty much. I'm still meeting with people every day, delivering their mail. One of the services that we provided at the old center was mail because of what Jay had said. Some people have been disowned. If they hadn't been disowned, the family members would take their mail. And because a lot of the folks, one of the things you have to have if you get ID, because a lot of the folks have been enrolled, they lost their IDs, they got to have a proof of address. So this all started out as a way to get people their IDs. It's been a learning experience, to say the least. So we'll be curtailing some of that mail delivery. But it really, right now, it gives me a chance to meet with people on the street who, and just give them updates, letting them know that the Hozho is returning, we're reopening soon, and we want, how you doing? Have you gotten into treatment? It makes that personal contact really, really important, because the folks, we've gained the trust and respect from the folks on the street, and we just want to keep that going. We are fortunate now because of the advocacy that we provided in getting the Lexington Hotel open. And that has been open now, and they're taking people from the motels, like Jay said, and they're referring them to the Lexington Hotel. Even though we didn't get that funded through the CARES Act proposal that we had with the tribe, it's still, I think, our advocacy that we did along this way has made that happen, made it a reality. We don't care who does it. What's important is it gets done. That's the important thing. So the more we can get people to work together. And I think that's where that's one of the, I think, silver linings of COVID is it really has gotten this community to really look and finally see some of the problems and where the problems are. We all know that we had an alcohol problem, but how can we now work together to overcome that together? Instead of with silos. One of the problems that Gallup's has, a lot of silos. I think that one of the things that the Hozho is doing is breaking down those silos, getting people to realize really, what are we here for? We're not here for ourselves. We're here to make things better for everybody. I'm really, proud to be a part of this. I'm really glad my buddy Jay is over here. My mentor, I've known Jay for a long time, and that really is good that we can work together.
Two of the oldest peers in the community.
Yeah, we're both 70, so come on, let's go.
I don't know why our slide is backwards. Do you guys see it as backwards? Do you see the Hozho?
Do you see Hozho as backwards?
Well, anyway, I hope it's right for you. I think for the point of clarity on the mail issue, we're not a postal service.
Right.
In fact, I don't even know if that's legal. Do we do that? But the individuals and the transients and the homeless individuals, they don't have addresses. So we allow them to utilize our address, the old address. We will now use the new address where they can get mail and reconnects them with Social Security and other programs and resources that are available to them that they don't know anything about. Not all of them are in recovery. Some of them are simply homeless by choice, but still, we can link them with other resources and hopefully move them forward in finding work and doing what they need to do. So we can be overwhelmed at times, but like I said, we take on all comers. And we do what we can. We do our best to let God do the rest. So, and it can be overwhelming, but it's something we need to do, and we're rather proud of it. And some people don't understand us. We work on the premise of attraction rather than promotion. We don't It shouldn't bother me that my sign is backwards because we're better and well known and accessed by word of mouth than anything else. Ken and other members of the staff literally go, we are one block away. I could hit the city plaza with a rock from where we're at now. And that's kind of the hangout in the area where, so we expect and anticipate that once we're found out, our numbers are going to climb again, and that's okay. We'll bring it to a close now. I want to thank you, and we will see you soon. God bless.